The book Ghost Boys deals with a long-standing social injustice by using a ghost story to deliver its important message. Ghost Boys was written by Jewell Parker Rhodes, who was raised in Manchester and went to university at Carnegie Mellon University, and she actually started out as a dance major, but then realized she wanted to be an author, so she switched. She's the author of many children's books that have won several awards, and some awards that Ghost Boys has won was being an instant New York Times bestseller, and it's an indie-bound bestseller and a Publisher's Weekly bestseller. And it also won the Walter Award for Young Reader category, the Charlotte Huck Honor Award for Outstanding Children's Fiction, the NAIBA Book of the Year winner, and it was the Golden Kite Hour winner as well. So the book Ghost Boys has 200 pages in it and was published in 2018. This book revolves around the life of an African-American boy and his family. The boy's name is Jerome, and he was killed by a police officer at the age of 12 while he was playing outside with a toy gun, and the police officer mistook it to be a real gun and claimed that he felt that his life was threatened, and so he shot and killed Jerome, and Jerome died on the sidewalk where he was killed. And so after being killed, Jerome turns into a ghost, and he starts a journey of observing the trial of the police officer who shot him, and he observes his family, who is going through a very rough time dealing with the loss of their son, grandson, and brother. And so while being a ghost now, after dying, Jerome meets several other African-American boys who have died because of a social injustice or because of racism. One prominent African-American boy who he meets while being a ghost is Emmett Till, and we just get introduced to the story of Emmett Till and historical racism and how it has affected the lives of African-Americans now. And so we also meet a girl named Sarah and a boy named Carlos. Carlos is Jerome's only friend in his high school, and Sarah is the daughter of the police officer who shot Jerome. And throughout the book, she has a very hard time dealing with the actions that her father has done. And this book would probably be best for the age category of about 7th grade to 8th grade. And I think that it would work best for a teacher to guide her class through reading it out loud, possibly, so that there could be lots of discussion about the book and about the history of the book, such as Emmett Till's story. And I think that this book is a culturally critical curriculum book because it challenges teachers and students to raise issues about inequity, power, and oppression from social justice perspective. And so some cultural information about the book is that the setting is an impoverished neighborhood in Chicago. And I grew up in a small, rural, middle-class town where almost everyone was white. And so this is a very diverse book compared to what I grew up with. Like I said, the book revolves around Jerome, who is an African-American 12-year-old boy. So the school that he goes to is a very large school with many different diverse people in it. And his school has many security guards roaming throughout the school, and metal detectors and different things like that, which is very different than what I have grown up with. And so reading about that has been very impactful with making me realize the different cultural things that different people grow up with. And so, like I said before, getting introduced to Emmett Till also raised a lot of awareness in me, and I feel like will raise a lot of awareness in others about just different cultural backgrounds and the history of different cultural backgrounds, which is very important. And I thought it was interesting that, so like I said, Jerome is an African-American boy, his friend Carlos is a Hispanic boy, and then Sarah is a white female, and all of them are protagonists in the book, which I thought was very cool and interesting and kind of different from what we see in a lot of diverse books. Usually we have one group being the protagonist and one group being an antagonist, but in this book we see a little bit of all of them in the protagonist category, and then as you'll find out, a lot of them in the antagonist category as well, which was very interesting and just kind of refreshing to see. All of the critiques that I have seen on this book, or all of the critics and their thoughts have been very positive from what I can see, because it's just a great way to get students and a whole classroom introduced to the culture of African American societies, and just flowing right into the history of racism and different things like that. And it just really stands up to social injustices in a way that students will be able to grasp and be very easily introduced to. And this book would most definitely help students be engaged because of the fast-paced timing of the book and quality character development that I believe that the book has. And a quote at the beginning, which I thought that was very cool. It just starts out very fast, and it really gets the attention grabbed. It says, "How small I look, laid out flat, my stomach touching ground. My right knee bent and my brand new Nikes stained with blood. I stoop and stare at my face, my right cheek flattened on concrete. My eyes are wide open, my mouth too. I'm dead. I thought I was bigger, tough, but I'm just a bit of nothing. My arms are outstretched like I was trying to fly like Superman. I barely turned, sprinting, pow, pow, 2 bullets. Legs gave way. I fell flat, hard. I hit snowy ground." So right out of the gate, we get introduced to the situation of what's happening. So in this particular passage, Jerome was already dead, and he was a ghost looking back on the moment when he got shot. And so it's just a great introduction paragraph to the story, and it grabs the students' attention. So I thought that was a very important part of the book. And so Ghost Boys was a great read, and it will spark meaningful conversation in the classroom setting that will hopefully encourage the students to speak up to social injustices and help make this world a better